Hello everyone, it's Leo, and it's time to talk about the almighty episode 31 from Star Twinkle Precure. But before that, I just want to say something. I think that we need to take a little time to thank the amazing people that work so hard to bring Precure to us Western fans, or actually to everyone that doesn't really understand Japanese and understand English, so that we can be able to participate in the dream that is, being a part of the Precure fandom or just being a fan of Precure, because it's just always very, very amazing and rewarding. Precure is the best. So usually Anon releases Star Twinkle on Sundays, and we take those things for granted, and we forget that there are actual people working behind those subtitles. So this week was a little different, and I just want to take a little time here just to say thank you so much to Anon fansubs that work so hard on bringing subtitles to our Star Twinkle episodes, and to all the other fansubs that work on Precure like over time, like Doremi that worked so hard on so many seasons, like Adi and I that also worked very hard, and all other fansubs out there that bring us lots of joy with our favorite anime. But anyway, let's talk about this episode. And the first thing I want to say is that I am going to praise this episode a lot. For me, it was amazing, but there is something that I just need to get it out of my chest so that I can, praise this episode a lot. But I have to say something. The drawings in this episode were a disaster. They were a complete disaster. I think this probably was one of the weakest episodes in Star Twinkle concerning visuals, because this episode was ugly. It was ugly. I don't know what was going on in the production, but it was ugly. But anyway, let's talk. The girls were coming back to Earth after a long period, and it was interesting the way the girls felt when they were coming back home. That's an interesting feeling that Precure doesn't usually tackle, doesn't usually talk about. And then they got back home, and Elena and Madoka were very thankful of being home. But then, all of the girls were. But the space police, I forgot their name, so I'm going to reference them here as the space... Not police, they're not actually a police team. The Space Cadets, I don't know what their names are. I forgot. You guys know how horrible I am with names. But then when they arrived together with the Cures, they were after the Cures because Lala and Purunch were probably discovered, and they broke the universal law or something. But it wasn't really like that, and the girls jumped into Lala's defense, and they even got the director responsible, because he is the responsible one for Earth. He's the one responsible for Earth, and that's interesting because I never really saw him like that. Was that a reference? Was that referenced before in previous episodes? I don't think so. I think that we only learned about it now. I don't remember that in his own episode back then. I don't remember that at all. I think there was something like, you have to hide your identity. I think he told Lala something like that, but he ended up letting the girls stay on Earth without telling anyone. I think there was something like that, right? It's coming to my mind right now. But anyways, the girls quickly jumped into Lala's protection, and the Space Cadets wanted Lala to go with them. Not Lala, the girls, to join the Space Cadets to protect the universe as Cures. But they all had their own motives of not working. Uni didn't want to work because she always likes to work by herself, and that's a very Uni thing, that's a very Cosmo thing to say. That's very interesting. I like how they highlight that in her personality, and how they didn't really force her into the team, into blending too much. She's always standing out by staying by herself. That's a great thing, I think. That's a new thing to the franchise. And then we had Elena, who has to take care of her family and the shop and everything, and Madoka, who has to take her classes and so many things that she does. And it was interesting because the leader of those cadets, that I obviously don't remember the name, he was shocked because he couldn't really understand how they could think of their own priorities first. But that's an interesting thing about Precure, because they always humanize their characters a lot, and they see how important it is for them not to lose sight of their human side. You know, Precure never takes their lives, and that's a breath of fresh air in amidst so many magical girl shows nowadays, that when the girls transform into magical girls, it completely derails their lives, it destroys their lives, and it makes their lives a mess, and they suffer a lot because of it. And Precure is different. You know, Precure has that innocent feeling that we need in life as well. I'm not saying those magical girls are bad, but you know, we need that as well. And I'm glad Precure still does that. And so when the episode progressed, we had a moment with that leader, with Hikaru, because he wanted to talk to Hikaru to plead the case to her, because she's seen as the leader, and that's an interesting thing. I was talking about that in my latest Ask Cinnamon video about Hikaru as a leader, as a, how I do really see her as a leader of the team. But Puruns told that guy, that Lala, that Hikaru is the leader. You know, she's the one that leads the team. She was the first cure. She was the one that led Lala being a cure as well, and she's always leading the girls. And so he took her to the moon so that he could talk to her about how he felt destroyed when the princesses were scattered and turned into pens. And that's an interesting take, because we don't usually see things outside of the cure world and how other people that might be related to the powers are feeling. And that was his responsibility, and he wasn't able to protect the princesses. And Hikaru quickly understood, that he felt responsible for what happened, and now that was her duty as a cure to protect the princesses and the universe. And the cures are succeeding at that while also balancing their personal lives. And then Gaoruga appeared, and he started fighting against Cure Star. I am going to say something very that I was personally feeling bad, because I think Star Twinkle wasn't delivering in fights. And even though this episode wasn't pretty, you know, the drawings were pretty and the animation was not the best, I think that in the fight department, it really was able to deliver. It really was able to showcase a great part of Precure, which is the physical battles. And, you know, it was very interesting seeing Hikaru fight. Cure Star was able to showcase her powers, you know, her transportation, not her transportation powers, what am I thinking? Gaoruga was the one transportating, and she was the one that used her star powers as propellers, as shields, as punches, and I love that about Cure Star. I love how she fights with that. And I really liked seeing that, you know, in the fight. It wasn't the prettiest, but it was great. But Gaoruga was pretty strong with darkness powers, and he was able to get the Pisces pen. Actually, Capard was the one. But Capard was so shocked seeing Gaoruga in action that he didn't even fight. He just let Gaoruga do all the work, basically. And when Gaoruga was with the Pisces pen, he was able to kind of defeat Cure Star while also talking about protection. Because Cure Star talked about how she wanted to protect and how she was going to protect everyone. And he thought that it was a joke, because she was definitely not going to be able to protect everyone that was important to her with her own hands, with her own powers. And that leads me to think that that villain is going to be very important, and his background story is going to be very important as well. I think that he probably could not protect something, and he lost something very important to him. And then that's why he became who he is nowadays, and he started serving darkness because he understood that he didn't have powers to protect anything. And so I really believe that this villain is going to have a background story, and it's going to be a very interesting one, because he didn't strike me as a villain, a villainous person with bad thoughts. I feel like he's more of a tragic villain, and we didn't see enough of him to actually understand what's going on with him, but that's how I think he's going to be portrayed from now on. And he's pretty strong. The way he fights is very interesting as well. But when they were fighting, the leader of the Space Cadets gave a message to Earth, and then the girls appeared. And when the girls appeared, I was so happy. I was so happy seeing the girls, because I feel like Hikaru, let's talk about Hikaru. This video is gonna be long. Hikaru was someone before Star Twinkle started. Hikaru was a lonely person. She was always by herself, and she had dreams. She's a creative person. She was always dreaming. She was always creating. She was always thinking about space, but she was always by herself, and she didn't have many friends. Her mother was always working because she's a mangaka. She has a lot of work. Her father was traveling the world. Her grandfather isn't someone who is very open and very accepting of Hikaru's personality. And her grandmother was probably busy with housework, housekeeping, and everything. And so Hikaru, after Star Twinkle started, she was able to be more of herself because now she has people around her that accept her for who she is. They accept her craziness, they accept her crazy ideas, they accept everything about Hikaru, and they embrace that. And so she's able to live herself to the fullest with the other girls. And so that's why I felt that the rocket moment was so emotional to me. I was very happy when the girls came down in the rocket and they all had their fighting faces, their fighting poses, and the fight was nice. It was nice seeing the girls using, just fighting, physically. And like even Celine just shooting her arrow was interesting. The way the episode did it was very interesting. I loved it. And then, like Kurosoleil kicking and then going after Gaoruga and everything, the girls fighting him. Thank you, Star Twinkle. That was awesome. And then we had some stock footage as well. The Twinkle Stick power Southern Cross shot this time was shown, like the girls used the power itself, but then we actually saw the girls, propelling the beams in different positions this time for the first time, I think. I think it was the first time they did that. And well, overall a very interesting fight. But then, after fighting against the Cures, I didn't really understand if the darkness power was fading or the Cures power were defeating it. And then Cure Star, he wasn't able to use teleport, and then Cure Star was able to get the Pieces pen and use the Pieces punch. It was a strong star punch, a beautiful one, and he was defeated and he was left, he couldn't fight anymore, and then they had to run away. And so the princesses were revived, and I am going to say that my eyes were full of tears when Purunz was crying because of the princesses. I'm going to be honest with you. Purunz was amazing, and we've been following his story. We've been following everything that's been going on with him. It was an emotional moment, Purunz with holding hands with each girl and, with his tentacles. It was gorgeous. And then the princesses, this episode, were amazing. It was very funny. Their scene was gorgeous, them shaking their heads, because they needed Fuwa to eat. And Fuwa ate. And Fuwa turned into something else. I just can't. I love the new Fuwa form. Fuwa is so cute. I love it. I don't know why people are complaining about it because it's so cute. And I think Fuwa deserves something new. She deserves something new. Everybody's been growing and appearing. Fuwa's just there. Now she's going to have the center again. And I can't wait to see more. Anyways, guys, that was my view on episode 31. And I just can't wait for next week's episode because it's going to be very nice seeing the power-ups for the first time. We're going to see the new attack, and we're going to see more of Fuwa. We're going to see more of Gaoruga, who's proving to be an interesting villain, I think. And I hope the fights keep getting very interesting like they were in this episode, even though this episode was an important one. And Hikaru, thank you for being great. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you're not. Please leave a comment with your opinions so we can keep talking in the comment box. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.